Good afternoon and welcome to SADD Chapter Management 101, Implementing SADD Programs in Your School. My name is Chris Dzurick and I am the statewide coordinator for Missouri SADD, or Students Against Destructive Decisions. This is the last of our four-part series. On Monday, we reviewed the SADD portal. On Tuesday, membership and meeting management. On Wednesday, we talked about chapter officer teams and leadership teams. And today we'll talk about now, how do we bring those programs into your SADD chapter? The way that SADD conducts change is empowering teens, engaging parents, mobilizing communities, and changing lives. And we're going to really see this change matrix through all of the programs that we're going to talk about today that are available through both national and Missouri SADD. When it comes to managing the implementation of your programs, we always want to talk about how successful events are when they're created and managed for students by students. And this is peer education. If you joined us in our session yesterday on officer leadership, we talked about peer education and how much more of an impact events have when students are the ones creating those. So it's really important that the advisor supports the students, but that the students are the ones who are actually completing the projects and actually doing the work at hand. Now, you as an advisor with any large-scale project or implementation of something in your school, you are going to need your school's support for that. And that means you're going to have to seek school approval as the leader of your SADD chapter, but the students are still going to be the ones who are doing the work. And we encourage you to bring those students with you to pitch these programs to your school administration. With any of our projects, we always encourage you to provide at least 2 months of a buffer, maybe a little more, a little less, depending on the depth you're going into our projects, but 2 months is usually a pretty rough guess for how long it might take to fully embrace the entirety of a toolkit for a SADD program. That's going to be Rock the Belt, Is It Worth the Risk, SADD Shines, or Text Less, Live More. Brainstorming sessions are great. They help you to figure out how to actually meet the end goal. We always like to talk about what's the outcome. What's the outcome that you want to achieve in your project? And then let's work on the steps to get to that outcome. So really, when we do brainstorming, we're not talking about the means to get there. We're talking about the outcome that we are expecting. When it comes to supporting your students, you can provide students with templates to help them build out the programs. Our SADD toolkits have those, and we'll show you an additional resource here in just a moment. And then keeping records of all those past programs so that your students can build upon the successes and the failures of the teams that came before them. The event planning worksheet is that resource that you can use to help your students build out their SADD chapter activities. This talks about the who, what, when, where, why, and how of planning an event. This worksheet is considerably longer than the snippet you can see on the screen. I believe it's almost 4 pages long in its entirety with nothing even keyed into it. But this helps students to really walk through all of the steps they need to take to make an event successful. And it also allows them to then analyze the event afterwards. What went wrong? What were some unexpected positives or unexpected negatives? And what can we do better next year? When you have these documents filled out, this is what we mean by record keeping. Add these to a Google Drive folder so that students can go back and see what the teams did before them. All those resources are going to then be there, and students can again build on the successes of previous leadership. SADD has 4 signature programs that they utilize to deliver their content, that change matrix that we talked about at the beginning of this presentation. Is It Worth the Risk is our program that talks about underage drinking, so alcohol use prevention programming. Is It Worth the Risk is going to have a variety of different activities available to you. The main activity within the Is It Worth the Risk toolkit, again, available in the SADD portal, which we showed you on video 1 of this series, is a docudrama, and it's going to really go through the risks of underage drinking and the harm that can come to youth. And then you have a panel discussion afterwards with maybe law enforcement, community leadership, lawyers, mental health, hospital professionals to really talk about the risks of underage drinking. Rock the Belt is our signature program on seatbelt safety. Now, Rock the Belt's main program is the Quick Click Challenge, and that's going to be an activity where students have to rotate through all of the seats in a car, buckling and unbuckling, to see who can do that the fastest. And the intent of this program is it shows you how quick it is to put on your seatbelt and how no matter the distance, you should always be putting that seatbelt on when you're entering a car, whether you're driving or you are the passenger. SADD Shines is going to be our mental health and tobacco awareness program. SADD Shines is really about celebrating what you have done as a chapter. And within SADD Shines are going to be a variety of smaller activities, and these are meant to be done kind of in February. So in a pretty cold time for us in Missouri, but there's going to be some really simple activities that you can do. And SADD Shines is also going to include the resources for some tobacco training for your students. So you're able to talk about the risks of tobacco use and vaping, and students can actually go through a two-part training, one that's an introduction to the risks of tobacco, and then the second component of that, really geared towards maybe our older students, is then how to be a leader in your school, how to say no, and how to help other students say no to tobacco and vaping. Text Less, Live More is the last of our signature programs with SADD, and it's really a two-part program, but it's one when we talk about it. So Text Less, Live More is going to be a distracted driving and digital wellness program. So we're going to talk about the risks of using your mobile devices when you are operating a motor vehicle, how long your mind is still active, even if you just glance at your phone to see what happens, and how to always turn it off or use a do not disturb when you are driving. But we also want to talk about the risks of having that cell phone, having those devices, and constantly being connected and plugged in. And that's where Get Living is going to be. And that's where we're going to talk about those destructive habits of using your phone constantly and how important it is to put that phone down and give yourself some time to be with yourself, to be with your family, and to be with your friends. The Get Living program is going to have some challenges for students to maybe put away their device for an hour or put away their device for a night, and some activities that then can go in place of a phone where people can just be present. Text Less, Live More is going to have a lot of different activities about traffic safety. When it comes to cell phones, the big one is the text check, and that's where you do a survey of how many students are utilizing their mobile device as they are either entering or leaving school grounds, and then you provide development along the way over the course of that week. Repeat that process to seek some improvement. Very similar to a seatbelt survey that you might do in Rock the Belt. Text Less, Live More is going to be about looking at cell phones. Now, when we talk about implementing programs, this can be overwhelming. In our first 3 videos, we shared with you some basics about getting your chapter started, but we recognize that this might be the overwhelming part, is implementing these large-scale programs in your school or in your community. So we wanted to give you some quick ways to get started, some simple activities that you can do to get an idea of what's in these programs. You can always build upon them year over year over year, but here are some really great, easy ways to get started. Within Is It Worth the Risk, there's guidance on building prom pledge cards, and it's a conversation starter where students converse with their parents about the risks of alcohol use at prom, either before, during, or after, and how to make safe decisions. And then the students and the parents sign that pledge card. Rock the Belt, we talked about the Quick Click Challenge. It's a project that doesn't require a lot of setup, but can have great impact, great media connection. So very easy activity to get started with Rock the Belt. SADD Shines, we talked about the Taking Down Tobacco training. It's an entirely web-based training on demand for students. You can assign it as an activity for everyone to complete. It's all already done for you, and a great way to dive into SADD Shines without conducting big, large programs in your school, especially because SADD Shines Week is again in February, so it's colder, it's harder to do outdoor activities. So it's a great way to do something indoors over that kind of chilly period here in Missouri. Finally, Text Less, Live More. We talked about the text check, super easy way to get started. So this is a great slide if you want to screen capture this. You want to take a picture with your phone or write down these activities. Start small. You don't even have to do all 4 of these activities if you don't want to. Do one in the fall, one in the spring. That's totally fine. You can always build upon it year over year. Now, here in Missouri, we do have an additional program that you might consider participating in and implementing, and this is called SADD Opoly. And this is a Missouri-specific program, so it's not a national SADD program, and this helps to promote a strong, healthy SADD chapter. It really serves as a guide for you because each quarter of this, or each side of this game board, is a quarter of the academic school year. So you're able to kind of go through and know what should we be doing as a SADD chapter this quarter, and you can use it as a guide. Now, we actually provide you with dollars, fake dollars for each space that you complete. So there's value tied to each of these, and we recognize those chapters with the most dollars each quarter, each semester, and each year with some recognition. Many of these activities are things you're already doing: hosting recruitment events, signing up for email distribution lists, posting on social media, but you'll also find inviting guest speakers, utilizing SADD programs like SADD Shines and Rock the Belt in your school. We provide you with a guidebook that goes along with this, with hyperlinks to all of the programs, all of the resources, everything's there for you. It's all about helping to build up your chapter. So we encourage you to download these materials or watch our previous webinars on introducing SADD Opoly. We also have provided you with a program calendar for the year. So within our SADD chapter management guide, there's a calendar of events. We talk about all the important weeks like National Teen Driver Safety Week, Alcohol Awareness Month in April, all of those really big months that you might want to conduct SADD programming, as well as recommended times to conduct SADD signature programs. So again, certain programs have recommended times, but you're welcome to do them whenever you want. So you'll see Is It Worth the Risk is typically an April-based program around prom. Rock the Belt is typically a fall program with National Teen Driver Safety Week, which is just a couple of weeks away. And SADD Shines is early February. You can implement these programs still whenever you want, fully customized to your school's needs. And again, use SADD Opoly as a guide for maybe what you should be doing this quarter. Even if you're not going to fully play the game, you can still kind of write down when those activities are happening on the game board to set some agendas for some meetings or some expectations for your officer team. Want to thank you for finishing this video series with us. This has been part 4 of 4, where we talked about today implementing SADD programs in your chapter and your community. My contact information is available on this slide, and as always, all of these sessions have been recorded and are available at actmissouri.org/SADD. Now, tomorrow, Friday, we'll be hosting a live Q&A. So if there is anything in these videos that you have questions about, if you want to talk about what's been really successful in your SADD chapter, we encourage you to hop on our Q&A or pre-submit questions by emailing me at the email address provided on the screen, and we'll address those questions live for you and still get that recording up on our SADD website, so you can always go back and get some additional feedback on building a happy, healthy community with SADD. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day.